Have you ever had that experience where you're sitting in the movie theater, the credits finally roll on this brilliant, action-packed blockbuster, and you walk out feeling just completely emotionally satisfied?
Oh, absolutely. You're just riding that cinematic high.
Right, you're on a high. But then you wake up at like 3 a.m., stare at the ceiling, and suddenly think, wait a minute, how did any of that actually make sense?
Yeah, the classic delayed reaction plot hole realization. I love that.
It's the worst or the best, depending on how you look at it.
Well, you are so blinded by the incredible spectacle, right?
Yeah.
And the emotional beats hit so perfectly that your logical brain it temporarily suspends its own security protocols.
That is the perfect way to describe it. Suspending the security protocols.
Yeah.
And okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission for this deep dive today is to unravel the incredibly tangled webs of Spider-Man. Brand new day.
It is a messy web.
It really is. We're going to look right past those jaw-dropping action sequences, and we're going to zero in on the massive logical leaps, the quiet but honestly terrifying invasions of privacy.
Yeah, that part is wild.
And honestly, the massive universe-shifting clues that the filmmakers hid right in plain sight.
What's fascinating here is that while the emotional core of this story really does hit hard, I mean, it's a very poignant look at total isolation, right?
Completely isolated.
But the world-building details surrounding that isolation raise some massive, glaring questions about the reality of this universe, and more importantly, where this entire cinematic universe is actually heading.
So let's start with the immediate reality of that isolation, because we are dealing with a totally new status quo here for Peter.
A completely clean slate.
Exactly. The world has completely forgotten who Peter Parker is. He is entirely on his own, no friends, no Aunt May to lean on, and definitely no Stark Industries blank check to bail him out.
He's essentially a ghost.
A literal ghost. But here's the thing that kept me up at night. He still has an apartment.
Right.
It is a piece of crap, sure, but crap apartments in New York still charge rent.
Not just rent either. Think about the food, the utilities, the basic cost of survival in a major metropolitan area.
Yes. Plus, he has all the supplies he needs to maintain his Spidey suit. And I mean, did you notice the 3D printer by his desk?
Oh yeah, running constantly in the background.
That thing is seemingly working nonstop, and 3D printer filament is not cheap. Plus, he's paying a phone bill. Like, how is a guy with literally no legal identity, no social security number, no credit history, no birth certificate on file affording any of this?
It's a glaring economic paradox.
Does he have a day job? Because the movie heavily implies he's dedicating 100% of his time to cleaning up the streets.
Well, we could theorize that maybe Aunt May left him some sort of cash inheritance, or perhaps Tony Stark put some untraceable blind trust in place years ago.
But how would he access it?
Exactly. Functionally, how would Peter even collect it if all records of his existence have been cosmically erased? The bank would look at him like he was crazy. Historically, the character has always been portrayed as working class, right? Struggling to pay the bills, while somehow still affording high-tech gadget materials.
Which was always a stretch anyway.
Yeah, that was hard enough to believe. But this new status quo adds a layer of absolute impossibility. How does a literal nobody, a guy who doesn't exist on paper, participate in a modern capitalist economy?
I can't suspend my disbelief on that one. It's like expecting a guy who doesn't exist on paper to somehow get a mortgage and a limitless credit card while simultaneously giving him a free pass to become Big Brother.
Well, you're referring to the surveillance scene with the NYPD.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this drove me crazy. To catch Scorpion, Peter teams up with his NYPD liaison, Jean DeWolf, and Peter just casually informs her that he's going to hack into all the security cameras around New York to search for Scorpion's face.
Every single camera.
Every single one. Jean tells him it's illegal, which, duh, it is. But then she doesn't do anything about it. She lets it happen.
She just turns a blind eye.
Yeah. And Peter doesn't have a single moral quandary about it either. We are just supposed to accept that he is infringing on the civil liberties of millions of New Yorkers because it's for the sake of capturing one bad guy.
Well, from a screenwriting perspective, I think they were just looking for a fast way to get him to the next action set piece.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a genre convention, really.
Right.
We see the tech genius hero hack the mainframe all the time.
I hear that, but doesn't that completely ignore the ethical hypocrisy of it all?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, think about this from the perspective of you, the listener. Imagine logging onto your computer at home and knowing a teenager in a mask has unfettered access to your webcam just because he happens to be looking for a bad guy in your neighborhood.
Yeah, it's creepy.
We give him a free pass to violate millions of people's privacy just because he wears red and blue.
When you frame it like that, the danger becomes really obvious. The filmmakers rely on the fact that Jean, and we as the audience, know Spider-Man is a good guy. We know he's not going to keep spying on people for fun. But from an in-universe perspective, if a broke old pizza nobody, which is essentially what Peter is right now.
Literally a nobody.
If he can hack into the entire NYPD grid with zero resistance, what is stopping a nefarious villain from doing the exact same thing?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The security infrastructure of this world is apparently made of wet tissue paper.
It really lacks the gritty realism of a film like, say, The Dark Knight, where mass surveillance was treated as a horrifying moral line.
Oh, right, with Lucius Fox.
Exactly. In that film, Lucius Fox was willing to resign over the sonar surveillance machine because it was just too much power for one man. Here, it's just treated as a convenient Tuesday afternoon.
And if we're talking about this strange willingness to embrace unearned power and sketchy authority, we really have to talk about his new alliance. Because Peter breaking the rules for the government is actually incredibly ironic, considering the agencies he's suddenly so willing to work with are notoriously, historically corrupt.
The Department of Damage Control.
The Department of Damage Control.
The cinematic universe's resident bureaucratic nightmare.
Seriously, their track record is horrific. Let's just look at their resume for a second. Their agents raided a high school to capture teenagers in Miss Marvel.
Right.
In Wonder Man, it is revealed that Damage Control literally maintains prisoner quotas just to justify their exorbitant budget. Quotas for human beings.
Yeah, the prison industrial complex at its worst.
And let's not forget, they are indirectly responsible for creating the Vulture after they superseded his salvage contracts to clean up the mess after the Battle of New York. They ruin lives.
They do have a habit of creating their own problems.
Right. And yet, despite all of this, Peter is suddenly super chummy with director Bill Meza. Here's where it gets really interesting. Why?
Well, I think you have to view this through the lens of Peter's current psychological state.
Okay, how so?
He is entirely isolated. This spell wiped away his entire support system. From a character standpoint, he is desperately grasping for an anchor. He needs any sort of structural ally to make him feel less alone in his crusade.
I mean, I guess, but I'm not sure I buy that. Why would he willingly work with an agency that creates villains and targets kids?
It's a fair point.
Shouldn't he be the ultimate skeptic of authority right now? It's like a whistleblower suddenly taking a PR job at the corrupt company they just exposed. It goes against his entire moral compass.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights a fascinating flaw in how government oversight is portrayed in this universe.
Yeah.
Time and time again, we see that these organizations are ineffective at best at curtailing superpowered threats. And at worst, they actively escalate situations.
Definitely the latter.
So the fact that Damage Control operates with zero curtailing of its power makes Peter's blind trust incredibly suspicious. You're right that he might want to protect Damage Control from a threat like Jean Grey because it's the right thing to do in the heat of battle.
Sure, save lives.
But the chumminess, the lack of suspicion, it feels entirely unearned given their history.
It really does. It feels like the writers just needed him to have a government ally to move the plot forward, so they erased his common sense.
Pretty much.
And honestly, it's not just his alliances that feel unearned. It's how the conflicts are actually resolved. The villains in this movie operate on wildly questionable logic. Let's look at Jean Grey.
Ah, yes, the telepathic geometry problem.
Yes. Okay, so Jean is introduced with this very specific, very clearly defined limitation. The movie explicitly tells us, through analytics, that she can only telepathically hop 33 feet from person to person.
Right, they make a big deal out of that.
That is her range, 33 feet. Peter uses this exact rule to trap her high up in a helicopter, assuming she's too far away from anyone else on the ground to jump into a new mind. So he goes to MJ's apartment thinking he's completely safe.
But when he gets there, he realizes MJ was actually Jean Grey all along.
Exactly.
She had already gotten to the apartment and was pretending to be MJ.
So, how did she get there first?
Well,
I mean, later on, Peter sees Jean getting driven around by someone under her mind control, which proves she isn't just hiding in a lair somewhere. So maybe after Peter webbed up the helicopter, she got driven closer to the apartment. But the movie made such an enormous deal out of this 33-foot rule. To just say she somehow beat him there feels like a massive betrayal of the audience's trust.
that is a crucial point about storytelling mechanics, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In fantasy and sci-fi writing, there is a concept known as hard magic versus soft magic.
Okay.
When you give a character a hyper-specific limitation like a 33-foot radius, you are establishing a hard magic system. The audience leans in because they understand the rules of the puzzle.
Right. We think we can solve it with the hero.
Exactly. But when the writer breaks that rule just to get a surprise gasp out of the audience, it shatters the immersion. It's like playing a board game where the person losing suddenly changes the rules.
Oh, I hate that. It cheapens the victory.
It really does.
And unfortunately, it's not the only time the film chooses narrative convenience over established lore. Which brings us to what is indisputably the high point of the movie visually, but maybe the lowest point logically.
The fight with the Hulk.
This fight with the Hulk.
Visually, it was a masterpiece of CGI and choreography.
Oh, it was stunning. Bruce Banner's inhibitor breaks, he completely loses control, and he morphs into the Savage Hulk. He's not under Jean's control anymore, right? He is just pure, unadulterated rage.
Just a monster.
So he's literally holding a building. And how does Peter stop this unstoppable rage monster? He talks to him.
He just talks to him.
He reminds Hulk that he was the student getting information from Bruce back at college. And suddenly, something clicks. Hulk recognizes Peter has good intentions, gently lets go of the building, and drops safely to the street. I mean, come on.
It's a bit much.
That's like trying to calm down a charging rhino by telling it you once bumped into it at a coffee shop.
That is a great analogy. And it is wildly inconsistent with the history of the character.
Right.
Historically, it took a profoundly significant psychological connection to break through to the Hulk's humanity. Think about Black Widow.
Oh, the lullaby.
Yeah, only her specific, deeply rooted emotional bond seemed strong enough to bring Bruce back to the surface. It wasn't just words, it was a psychological anchor.
Even Thor couldn't do it.
Right.
In Ragnarok, Thor tries the lullaby. And Thor is his friend from work, someone who has fought alongside him, bled with him for years, and it fails miserably.
Hulk throws him around like a rag doll.
Exactly. But Bruce barely knows Peter. They met briefly. For Hulk to just recognize his good intentions and instantly de-escalate, it is all a bit too tidy.
It feels like the universe itself is stepping in to resolve the tension magically, rather than making the characters actually earn their resolutions.
Speaking of narrative convenience bending the rules of the universe, we have to talk about the ending, because memory itself seems to magically glitch when it serves the emotional plot.
You're talking about the handshake scene with Ned?
The handshake scene?
It is the final scene. It's incredibly moving, but it raises some massive structural questions.
Let's just lay it out. Peter runs into Ned. They haven't hung out since the spell that erased Peter from everyone's memory. Peter approaches him, introduces himself, and then leans in to do their incredibly complex signature duo handshake.
Yeah?
And Ned executes it perfectly. Not only that, but it ends with Ned looking up at Peter with this expression, like he remembers who he is.
It's a very loaded look.
It's this beautiful moment of hope, showing Peter can unlock memories in spite of the spell, but logically, it makes zero sense based on what happened literally 20 minutes earlier.
You're referring to the interaction with MJ.
Yes. When Jean Grey was controlling MJ's mind, she explicitly stated she looked all through MJ's memories and found zero trace of Peter.
Zero trace.
Zero trace. The magic wiped him completely clean from her neural pathways. Even after reading Peter's letter, MJ confirms she has no memory of him.
Right.
So if the spell is that absolute, how does a Peter tingle transcend a magical memory wipe for Ned, but not for MJ?
Well, this raises an important question about the fundamental laws of this cinematic universe, and perhaps how we, as the audience, are trying to process them.
What do you mean?
We are looking for strict logic. We want binary rules, like the 33-foot telepathy limit or the absoluteness of a magic spell.
Sure, we want consistency.
But the movie is suggesting something different. It suggests that this universe operates on emotional resonance, not strict physics. And honestly, this philosophy is laid out perfectly during Bruce Banner's lecture earlier in the film.
Oh, the Thanos question? I loved this scene.
It is a brilliant meta moment.
Right.
A student asks a question that fans have literally been debating for years.
Right.
If Thanos was so genuinely worried about overpopulation and resource scarcity, why didn't he just use the Infinity Gauntlet to double the universe's resources? Why wipe out half of all life?
Right. Just snap your fingers and make enough spaghetti for everyone. Problem solved, no suffering, everybody goes home full. But instead, he's totally locked into this idea of balancing the universe through pain and loss. He wants a paradise built on murdering half the planet.
And Bruce Banner doesn't really have a mathematical answer for the student, because you can't logically explain it. Thanos wasn't the logical titan, right? He was the mad titan.
Yeah.
He wasn't optimizing a spreadsheet. He was a megalomaniac fulfilling a twisted messiah complex.
Have you ever tried to rationalize a crazy person's actions in real life? You can't do it.
No, you
You
can't.
drive yourself crazy trying to find the math in their madness. Thanos' solution required pain because his own mind was broken. He needed the universe to suffer the way he suffered when his home planet was destroyed. And I love how that connects back to Ned and the magic spell.
The universe is messy. It is driven by madness, emotion, and deep psychological flaws. If Thanos had just fed everyone, he wouldn't be much of a villain, and the story wouldn't have any weight.
That's true.
In the same way, Ned remembering Peter goes against the established magical rules of the spell, but it fits the absolute emotional truth of their bond. The universe allows for these glitches because narrative and emotion outweigh physics and magic.
Okay, framing it as the universe favoring emotional truth over strict physics actually makes me feel a little better about the handshake.
It helps, right?
It does. It's a beautiful thematic idea, even if it is logically frustrating for someone who likes rules. But that emotional bond with Ned doesn't just give us a sweet moment. It literally hands Peter the device that points to the future of the entire franchise.
Ah, the Spidey Tracker app.
The Spidey Tracker.
This is where the world building truly pays off for the fans who are paying close attention to the post-credits scene.
Because Ned's Tracker app has gotten a massive upgrade. It's not just showing Spider-Man sightings in New York anymore. The camera pulls back, and we see the app following Spider-Man way beyond Earth.
Deep into space.
Tracking him deep into space, then it cuts to black, and we get the classic Spider-Man will return text, but it doesn't say in which movie. So for you listening who maybe aren't steeped in the comic book lore, what does this deep space tracker actually signify?
Well, it points directly to the upcoming cosmic events, specifically Avengers, Doomsday and Avengers, Secret Wars. All signs in the broader narrative are pointing to the plot of Doomsday involving incursions.
Incursion.
An incursion is the terrifying phenomenon of two separate universes colliding into one another, leading to the mutual destruction of both realities.
Wow. A literal cosmic car crash.
Precisely. And in the comic books, these incursions destroy the entire Marvel Universe, which leads directly to the massive Secret Wars storyline.
Okay.
In that story, Dr. Doom constructs his own world called Battle World from the salvaged remnants of various destroyed realities.
Oh, that's right.
It's a patchwork planet made of surviving fragments. But interestingly, if you look at the original 1984 Secret Wars comic, Battle World was a planet located in deep space.
Wait, really? Oh, wow. So either way, whether they adapt the 1984 Deep Space version or the 2015 Reality Remnant version, Spider-Man leaving Earth's atmosphere means he is heading for a massive cosmic collision.
All the toys in the toy box are about to get smashed together.
That is insane.
Even if Spider-Man doesn't make a surprise appearance in Doomsday, that tracker app confirms he is firmly on a trajectory for Battle World.
It is so wild to think about the sheer scale of this. And it's not just cosmic threats off in the stars either. The movie also sets up massive foundational changes right here on Earth.
Yes, it does.
Let's go back to Jean Grey for a second. At the end, she casually freezes a whole street full of New Yorkers once her telepathic abilities strengthen.
So stops them in their tracks?
Yeah, that kind of public display of power is going to get some serious attention. She is literally kicking the door open for the mutants to enter the mainstream story.
Well, the studio has been slowly rolling out the mutant concept for a while now.
True, yeah.
We saw an alternate universe Professor X in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Beast showed up at the end of the Marvels. We had all those multiversal mutants in Deadpool and Wolverine.
And technically, Kamala Khan is a mutant too.
Right. But Jean Grey feels different. She isn't a multiverse cameo. She is establishing a distinct set of X-Men in this main cinematic timeline.
Just to clarify for anyone listening who might get lost in the multiverse jargon, when we say the main timeline, we're talking about the 616 universe, right? Our prime reality where all the main movies take place.
Yes, exactly. Earth 616.
But that raises a huge logical question for you. If Jean is here in 616, where are the rest of them? Jean can't be the only mutant who suddenly developed powers. Are the other mutants just in hiding?
That is the most likely explanation. From a world-building perspective, they can't just dust off one famous X-Man and pretend the rest don't exist.
Right.
It's highly probable that a new version of Charles Xavier already has a school operating in this universe, just keeping it strictly under the radar.
Hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. Yeah. But as you pointed out, Jean, freezing a street full of people, is going to blow that cover wide open. Ooh. It makes you wonder if there are other incidents currently being covered up by the government or damage control, say a young boy destroying his high school with optic blasts from his eyes.
Cyclops. Man, it is going to be fascinating to see how they integrate them, because it is pretty much confirmed that this universe will undergo a soft reboot of sorts following Avengers: Secret Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
Reality shifts are going to result in recasting and reworking the timeline. They might use this reality-smashing event to seamlessly fold characters like the Fantastic Four into the main 616 universe and introduce a whole new roster of mutants who weren't there before, finally giving Jean some friends to hang out with at Xavier's school.
It is the ultimate narrative, clean slate. A way to fix the tangled continuity without throwing away the characters people actually love.
It really is a brilliant strategy if they can pull it off. So what does this all mean? Let's just recap this massive journey we just took.
It's a lot.
We started with the grounded, gritty reality of Peter Parker dodging unpaid rent and participating in the massive economic paradox of being a ghost.
Right.
We analyzed his casual violations of privacy and the frightening hypocrisy of the surveillance state. We navigated his unearned trust in the historically corrupt damage control and the highly questionable, incredibly convenient logic of calming the Savage Hulk with some light college trivia.
Still can't get over that one.
Seriously. We explored the Thanos spaghetti theory to understand why magical memory wipes might glitch for a simple handshake if the emotional resonance is strong enough. And finally, we tracked Spider-Man all the way out into deep space, setting the stage for reality-colliding incursions and the long-awaited arrival of the X-Men.
It is a staggering amount of narrative weight for one movie to carry.
It really is.
But understanding these structural cracks and hidden clues is what separates passive watching from true comprehension of where the medium is going.
Being well-informed means seeing the strings attached to the story. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a brand new concept to chew on.
Oh, I like this.
We just spent all this time talking about realities colliding, soft reboots, memories being magically wiped by Doctor Strange and mysteriously restored by a handshake. We treat it as fun puzzle pieces. But think about the average, non-superpowered citizen living in this universe.
Okay, yeah.
Think about the guy just trying to run a bodega in Queens, or a teacher trying to get through a Tuesday. If history, memories, and literal physical reality are being rewritten every few years by cosmic incursions or magic spells, what happens to the human concept of truth?
Wow.
If you lived in a world where the past can be altered on a whim by people in capes, how could you ever trust your own memories? If you wake up tomorrow and remember a superhero who supposedly never existed, are you crazy, or is the universe broken?
That is a terrifying existential reality to live in. It fundamentally shatters the human psychological need for object permanence.
It really does. It's something to ponder the next time you look back on your own memories and wonder what's real. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We will catch you next time as we keep unpacking the most fascinating corners of the stories we love.